So many people know what a Cricut is, but they don't know what it does. I've had people ask me to cut things for them and they think that I'm printing it, which is not accurate. This machine does not print. I can print things and then cut them with it, but this is solely a cutting and engraving and drawing machine. At its base, it is an electronic die cutting machine that will cut out different shapes, but it also does so much more. So I just want to go over each of those functions and show you some examples of things that I've made using my Cricut. So to talk about what a Cricut does, I think we kind of need to overview the different types of blades and the different materials that you can use on it. So there's the basic blade that is used to cut things like adhesive vinyl, and you'll actually be cutting through the material to create sort of a sticker, but the whole thing is not the sticker, it's just the words. So it cuts through the vinyl material, then you peel away the outer layer on the outside, it's called weeding, and then you transfer that sticker to whatever medium you are using. So this, I think, is what most people think of when they think of a Cricut, is cutting adhesive vinyl and creating things like labels. This is a magnet label, or signs and wall decals. This blade is also great for cutting paper. I think a lot of people know that a Cricut machine cuts paper, and you can make really cute scrapbook layouts or cards with your Cricut machine. The Cricut can also be used to cut iron-on vinyl, which can be used to make things like t-shirts, onesies, tote bags, completely customizable, and a lot of fun to do as well. Next up, we have our deep cut blade. This is also a cutting function. It's just a little bit deeper of a blade to cut thicker materials. Another cutting function that it has is using the knife blade, and the knife blade is used for cutting thin wood or thicker things like leather. The knife blade can only be used on the Cricut Maker. The Cricut Maker can also use the rotary cutting blade. So if you've ever actually sewn and used a large rotary cutter, you'll know what that is. This is just a tiny little rotary cutter. It's kind of like a pizza cutter, and it will move around and cut fabric and felt super easily. And you can use this with or without a backing, which is great for my projects. The Cricut machine can also engrave. So you can use it to engrave thin metals. I don't think that the metal I used was thin enough, but you get the basic effect on there. But you can also engrave thicker leathers and things like that using the engraving tool. And then the engraving tool has a tip on the end here that you can swap out for different functions. I also have the debossing tool, which is great for, it's the opposite of embossing, which would give you raised letters on like paper. This would give you an impression, so deep down in, to give your paper projects more dimension. Now the Cricut can also use pens. So just like you would be able to cut with a Cricut machine and cut a line or a font or things like that, you can use several different pens. My machine came with just this regular black tip fine pen. So just a really neat tool to have to be able to write things when maybe you don't have the nicest handwriting. So great for cards and scrapbooking and things like that also. Cricut also has a bunch of different colors of infusible ink pens, and these are the fine tip ones. They also have thicker marker infusible ink pens, and what these do, you can load them into your machine, and just like any other pen, it will go around and it will create the design for you on a piece of paper. And then you would take that piece of paper, put it on a Cricut blank. Cricut has certain blanks that work well with the infusible ink. And then you can use your heat press or an iron to transfer the design that you made with the infusible ink pens to whatever that blank is that you used. So those are really fun, and you can even use these without the machine and make some really neat projects. And then this is the one that I'm actually most excited to try out, is their washable fabric pen. So you can see it's kind of has like a marker tip on it, and you can do things like trace embroidery patterns, and that will leave a blue mark on your fabric. And then when you're done, you can wash it out so that no marks are left on your projects after you've done your embroidery. These are also useful for different sewing projects. So having this pen along with like your rotary cutting blade are great tools to have along with your maker if you are a seamstress or a embroiderer of any kind. If you're wondering about designs, Cricut does have their Cricut Access, which allows you to access their library of extensive designs. Every time I go in there, I'm able to find exactly what I need. They have so many cute cut files and project ideas. And then you can also cut any SVG file that you create on your own and send that to your machine. I really also love the print and cut feature. I've used that before for teachers. If they need like 30 things cut out of a print, I can print those out on my printer, send them through to my machine, and I cut 30 of them precisely and perfectly without having to do all of that cutting by hand. So a great investment for a teacher, or if you are that PTA mom that is always helping out with cutting projects and doing things like that, I definitely suggest getting a Cricut. It's perfect for things like that. So hopefully that clears up a little bit of the confusion of what exactly a Cricut is and all of the different functions that it can perform. Please let me know if you have any questions about this machine. It's one of my favorite things to work with and definitely an investment worth making. All of the materials that I have shown you today will be linked in the description below. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and head to my blog, cutesy crafts.com, for more fun craft ideas.